So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Apparently my video just stopped playing and I just kept talking like an idiot. Anyway, back to what we're doing. So we'll start from the beginning and we'll go from there. So we've got our bushings made. I apologize for not getting a video done sooner. You can see that I've went ahead and I've used my dial calipers to go ahead and measure out all the total thicknesses. I was shooting for a 1/4 inch, 0.25. I got relatively close to all of that where I needed to be. So this one was spot on, 2.5, 2.54, 2.57, 2.54. So these are going to be my inner bushings that I'm pressing into here on the calipers because these all have a relatively same thickness. These out here, this was the oddball, this was the first one that I made. It's got a 2.4 on the thickness. Do I really think all that's going to matter? Probably not, but I'm going to make these the outside bushings. That way the height of the bushing doesn't matter, because when the caliper is installed on the knuckle, the inner bushings are what are actually going to space the caliper to the knuckle itself. And so we want to try to keep that as close to as possible, especially if we still need to shim it out just a hair more, because these are cast steel knuckles. These are going to be aluminum bushings potted in or adhered in with this 9321 adhesive. And then we have the aluminum caliper forgings as well. I want to say they're forged, don't quote me, but they're brembo, so I would assume they're quality. So what I did was, this is the motor mount for the Mitsubishi Eclipse. What I did was I took the mounting studs right here out of it. That way I could use them, because what I did, I'll just use the one for here. I went ahead and threaded them in the holes. And as you can see, just the point sticks out here. And these are 100% factory. I just literally grabbed them with my trusty Snap-on Spicy Boys right here, spun them out. And so I ran these out just a little bit. I used my CAD engineering here, you know, cardboard aided design, and I came up with these really awesome cardboard template. Kept cutting. It fits really nice and tight, up high and down low. And then I just literally held the cardboard against here, used my other hand, spun these in, got my center points here. That way, once the bushings are pressed into place here, I can figure out approximately where I need to be, spacing out the caliper top, down, fore and aft, to be able to get center where I need to be. And then what I'm going to do is, once I have all that, I'm going to use my trusty, it's called Puffy Paint. It's really cool. I use it for transferring a lot of marks from point A to point B, especially when I'm trying to pick up blind holes, which is pretty much what this will be. So what I'll do is, once I get the caliper where I want, I will clamp it in place, making sure all where I need to be. No rotor on the, I will mark it. And that's this is where the tricky part comes in, because then I'm going to have to take the rotor off to be able to run these studs in to mark it where I need them to be, just with a little tap. But that's also why we have the template here to verify from top to bottom, left to right. So what I'm going to do is, on these, I'm going to get the caliper where I need it to be, and then I'm going to mark it with my Sharpie, and then I'm going to match it to this template, and then I'm going to pick up my center points, and then I'm going to double check and verify that yes, in fact, that's where I need to be. Because again, once these bushings, I can make the bushings all day long. The problem is, because they're going to be offset into the holes, as you can see, those holes aren't jiving straight up and down, dead center. So, I mean, one of these will go in the center, the other one will be offset, and that's fine. But the whole point is the fact that this is the size of the stud. It's an M10 125, I believe. And you can see it's a hot dog down a hallway, because these are for the Porsche calipers, and those are much larger, bigger M14 bolts that go in there. So once we drill it, it's going to offset. The bolt itself is going to probably be somewhere in this edge of the lug, which is going to be beneficial, because it's going to help lock the bushing in place, because when this is installed, If the bushing were to rotate, which it should not, forward or back, it'll actually lock it in and help bite harder into the caliper itself, hopefully preventing. And of course, there's no chance we're going to be able to break edges to make sure no cracks form, but I have a feeling that everything's going to be pretty kosher. So let me pause this video and get these installed, and then we'll come back to it. We're going to use our big heavy duty spicy boys to squeeze the living crap out of these to press them in. Then we're going to switch up to these clamps here to finish holding them in till everything cures, because I only have a few of these. And then we're going to carry about smartly. So let me pause it, press them, and we'll come back and we'll go over a little bit on what's left to do to get these done. Alright, so what I have found is, even though these are precision machined on a really badass lathe, that the inner ones are a tight fit into the hole, while the outer ones kind of just fall into place, and they're all exactly, 0.63 in diameter. So what that tells me is that this hole is kind of a slight taper, whereas the bottom is a tighter tolerance than the top. So what I did was I made sure to put these in the press, because obviously I pressed these in because they were super tight, and then you press those in because if not, it's kind of spongy because of how loose that hole is in there. So I pressed it, held it for a couple minutes, and then pulled it out, and I'm about to clamp. I'm going to clean up the resin on both sides, and then I'm going to clamp it up, and then I'm going to let it sit for 24 to 72 hours. I might just let it go 72 just to play it safe, and then those will be ready to mock up, find our holes, drill them, and then mount them with the rotors to see if they're the proper spec or if these have to be shimmed. I'm praying that it needs shims and doesn't need material taken away, because that's going to be a complete pain in the ass to try to mill these down or try to sand these down and keep them perfectly flat. So, alright, so I got these all clamped up. Gonna give them a day or two to fully dry and cure, and then knock down the high spots, make sure the faces are nice and smooth, and we'll get everything mocked up on the knuckle and go from there. So, see you guys in a couple days. Peace.